If you've ever wanted to write a memoir and you're not sure where or how to get started, I'm writing a memoir and I've got some tips that have worked for me. Let me share them with you. I had no idea how to write a memoir when I first started writing. I just started writing. But that is the most important thing to do in the beginning. Just start writing. My memoir began as a blog 9 years ago on adventures with my son. And since that time, I've been converting some of those blog posts into scenes for a memoir. And I highly recommend this strategy, especially if you're writing about something that you're currently experiencing or going through right now. Obviously, if you're 85 and you want to write a memoir, I suggest you just start writing now. One of the reasons why I suggest starting a blog before you actually start writing a memoir is with a blog, you can just start writing. As you're writing, you don't have to worry about organizational structure of a memoir. You can just write and try to identify the main storyline that is your focus of your blog posts. Later on, you can look at themes and see how different posts fit together to be sequences that relate to a common theme. You probably already know what memoir writing is. Obviously, you're writing about your own life. But to me, memoir writing really means you're narrowing down your life. You're choosing to focus on one specific aspect or theme, and you're not writing about everything in your life. This is just my opinion. But if you try to write about too much in your life and you don't narrow down your memoir, it just lacks focus for your reader, and they might stop reading. The best thing to do if you want to write a memoir is to actually read some memoirs to see how they all have a narrowed down focus. This is the current memoir I'm reading, Natalie Goldberg's The Long Quiet Highway, and her focus is her journey to become a writer. One other thing that's very important to consider when you're writing a memoir is to think about who is your intended audience. My memoir is an autism memoir, so obviously my intended audience is parents of children on the autism spectrum. So I want to share a little snippet from my own writing, and so you can see what I mean by narrative style writing and how you can take ordinary events from your own life, narrow down to a subject or theme, and turn it into scenes for a memoir. I made it into a video sequence to make it a little bit more interesting, and then I'll be back afterwards to add a few final thoughts. Dominic and I are walking to the park with his friend Chad on an idyllic summer afternoon in mid-July. It is one of those lazy summer days where time seems to stand still and anything can happen, and usually does. Chad is pulling a wagon with a cardboard box full of his toys, and we're trekking up a slope on a jogging path while Chad chatters on and on about the toys in his wagon. I have Buzz Lightyear, Sheriff Woody, Rex, Slinky Dog, and Mr. Potato Head from Toy Story, Chad boasts, before prattling on as if doing an inventory of his toys. I have Red, Chuck, Bomb, Matilda, and Terrence from the Angry Birds movie, he says, barely stopping for a breath between words. I have Captain America, the Incredible Hulk, Iron Man, The Thing, and Spider-Man. I let my mind wander at the top of the hill with a view of the park as Chad continues jabbering about his toys and Dominic snatches the wagon handle and zigzags down the winding path with Chad chasing him, and I chuckle to myself at this unexpected twist to the day. "Give me back my toys!" Chad shouts. "They're mine!" Dominic is 8 and Chad is 7, and one of the ways I measure Dominic's social development is by how long he can remain at the park without having an incident with his friend. Lisa believes Dominic tosses his friend's toys into the pond at the park because he gets jealous whenever Chad talks to me. And I believe there'd be a lot less conflict between the two if Chad were more willing to share his toys with Dominic. Toys for sale, Dominic bellows at the top of the hill as if he is a peanut vendor hawking bags of salty snacks down the aisles at a Los Angeles Dodgers ball game. Who wants to buy Sheriff Woody from Toy Story? Just $2.50. Batteries not included. I try to explain to Chad that Dominic is only pretending to sell his toys, but he doesn't believe me. And then it becomes increasingly more difficult to persuade him while Dominic keeps shouting, "Toys for sale, toys for sale. Come and get your share of Woody, just $2.50. You can't sell my toys, Chad wails. They're mine. It seems like a good-natured Tom Sawyer-like prank from a Mark Twain novel, and I decided to let things play out to see how it turns out. I want Dominic and Chad to learn to resolve their own issues without me being a mediator every time there is a problem between them. Give me back my toys, Chad screams. They're mine. The park is peaceful and quiet, virtually empty in mid-afternoon, except for 3 slightly older boys, 10 or 11, who are on the cusp of middle school. They come over to see what all the screaming by Chad is about, lending more credibility to Dominic's toy sale. Toys for sale, toys for sale, Dominic calls out as they get closer, smelling the possibility of potential customers. Come and get your share of Woody from Toy Story. One of the boys walks up to Dominic and asks him, "Are you really selling Chad's toys?" He doesn't miss a beat and repeats his sales mantra. Toys for sale, toys for sale. Come and get your share of Woody, he shouts. For a moment, I am amused, laughing at the oddity of the scene. But then I look over at Chad and notice he sees the prospect of his toys being sold as anything but funny. Everything that happens next is a blur. Chad throws a rock at Dominic. It misses. Dominic picks up the rock and slings it back at Chad, hitting him in the leg, and he jumps up and down screaming, "Dominic, I will never be your friend ever again," while I get a nauseous feeling from the swirl of events. And so that's a snippet from a scene from my memoir. And what I wanted to show you is how you can take your own life and use yourself and family members as characters. You can use description, dialogue of different events in your life, and you can turn those scenes into a memoir. The most important thing I want you to take away from this video is when you're writing a memoir, you always want to make sure you identify your main storyline. So in that scene, my main storyline is the father and son relationship. That's pretty much my main storyline for pretty much every scene in the book. So if you're considering writing a memoir, I suggest just always identify your storyline. It's like a plumb line or like a thread that weaves throughout your whole story. And so if you're never sure what to focus on in your story, just think about that main storyline and you'll be in good shape. So in the snippet of the scene I just shared, I didn't share the whole scene. I thought you might be interested in how it ended. We got home, and my idea was for Dominic to create a storyboard of 5 scenes for what just happened at the park with his friend, and then we acted out the scenes. My idea was to help create empathy for how his friend was feeling when his toys were swiped and attempted to be sold. But after a while, we started to have so much fun, I lost track of my focus to develop empathy. So if you're thinking about writing a memoir, I hope this video gave you some tips on how to get started and give you the confidence that you can do it. Also, thank you for watching this video. Don't forget to click subscribe, leave me a comment, and happy writing, everybody.